Well. The stock market is plummeting, and we're seeing gold and silver starting to spike a little bit. So very interesting situation here. Definitely an anomaly that I've been looking for a while. If you've been a subscriber on my channel, you know that I look for that to see if there's going to be a possible detachment from precious metals and the stock market. And today we saw that trend starting to form a little bit, where we're seeing gold and silver going up, stock market going down. And quite a bit, actually. The stock market is down rather substantially today. You know, the NASDAQ down 450 points, Dow Jones down 500 points today. Pretty substantial drops going on in the stock market right now. And we're seeing gold and silver. Let me show you guys over here. So we're seeing NASDAQ is down quite a bit. We'll pull up the 5-day here. NASDAQ's down 450 points. Dow Jones down 500. And the DXY still hanging up at 96, which goes to what I've been talking about on that hot potato theory, that people are going into the dollar index not out of trust, but out of fear, that they're afraid of what happens next, so they're going into the dollar. I think that same fear that keeps the dollar index high is what is leading people into gold and silver right now. We're seeing gold, and there's also some very interesting stuff I'm going to bring up in this video as well, and I kind of look at things a little bit different than status quo, and I hope that I make some sense of it here in the video. If it does make some sense, would appreciate it. Currently, we're seeing gold having a nice spike on the daily. So let's go to the one-day chart. This is the one-day chart on gold, but look at that spike on gold. That's like everything's kind of normal, and then boom, big jumps up on the candle going, and we're closing the week at 1858.44 on gold, and on silver, it's also up just as much as gold, pretty much. Also had a very good day, back up to 23.54. And then one of the metals that not enough people are talking about right now is actually one that I've been talking about on the channel a bit, is palladium. Palladium is actually having a really good month. It bounced off of the higher, it was like, I think it bottomed around 1700, and then it just rocketed back up to 24, 25. Has been trending between 23 and 25 on palladium, which is interesting. The industrial precious metals is where I like to focus a lot myself, and it seems that it's a really good time to be in industrial precious metals. So, but first, since the title of this video is talking about gold skyrocketing, what is going on? Why is gold going up? Why is the stock market going down? I'm no guru. I'm just going to tell you what I think of the situation. I'm just, just a guy on YouTube, and I'm just going to do my best to tell you how it is from how I see it, not sugarcoat it. But I am not a financial advisor. So, disclaimer. I think that there is a risk-off situation here where people are going into risk-off assets. So people want to preserve their capital, and they're going into risk-off assets like gold. And gold being the most established risk-off asset, the most secure one that people know about, they're going into gold. They're also going into the dollar because I think they're going out of gold because it's gold, but I think they're going into the dollar because they're afraid. And they want to have that hot potato money ready. And eventually that hot potato money is going to get thrown somewhere, and that's when I think the dollar index will fall, which would further skyrocket gold, silver, Bitcoin, all precious metals really up, in addition to Bitcoin. Now, what's interesting here, and what I should go over in this video as well, is we have to be honest. I like Bitcoin. I have a good amount of Bitcoin, as you all know. Bitcoin's down with the market. So Bitcoin didn't enjoy the same rally that gold did. So gold we're seeing going up, but Bitcoin, on the other hand, is not going up, which is very interesting. What I think that is because not enough people understand how to take custody of Bitcoin. A lot of people rely on the stock market for their Bitcoin, so it kind of trends in a similar way to the NASDAQ, as like a tech stock. I've noticed that with Bitcoin, that they're considering it almost like tech, and so it tends to run parallel with the NASDAQ, which is not what you want to see. You want to see a detachment like we just saw today in precious metals. But we're not seeing Bitcoin detach in the same way gold just detached today, and we have to be honest about that. So let me go back here. The first thing I want to say is the reason why we're seeing this spike in gold, at least what I think, is because of obviously this Ukraine news, the possibility that Russia is going to be invading Ukraine. We don't know this for certain. It's just speculation. But that caused a fear and uncertainty situation here. But the thing is, that's just a spark, in my opinion. Even without that, we're going to start seeing people risking off because the stock market has a ridiculous amount of room to fall, and gold has a ridiculous amount of room to climb. Gold and silver have a ridiculous amount of room to climb. Stock market has a ridiculous amount of room to fall. So when I look at this type of situation, to me, it's like an avalanche effect. It's like it might be just this pure speculation could be the snowball getting dropped off the cliff that starts the avalanche into what happens next. And not enough people are talking about, to me, it's not about the uncertainties of an invasion in a different, obviously that's a huge deal. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you couldn't even wait till the Olympics were done, guys. I mean, what's next? China going to go into Taiwan? Anyway, all speculation, but joking aside, I think not enough people are talking about the reserve currency status of the dollar. Do you think he's over in Russia? They're happy that the dollar is the reserve currency? Do you think they're cool with that? What about China? Do you think they're cool with that? That's something that not enough people are talking about. I think that there's this complacency that the dollar will always be the reserve currency of the world, and that no one's ever going to have a problem with that. No one's ever going to want to compete for that place. And I think that that's an interesting thing that I'm looking into myself. So not only am I studying the price action on gold and silver and all of that, but I'm studying currencies around the world. Some people think the ruble is very undervalued. Some people think they're better with their finances. They're better with their checkbook over there than the dollar, than the people who run the Fed. And honestly, if we're going to criticize them, I mean, look at the way the Fed runs the country. I mean, runs the currency. I mean, they're pretty foolish right now. And that's another point I wanted to bring up in this video. If we go back to this trading view over here, here's something that's very interesting. I haven't seen anybody talking about this yet, but they were talking about it just a few days ago, was the Treasury bonds, right? So let's go to the 30-year. Plummeted today. Absolutely plummeted. Look at this. Went from the mid 2%, down to 2.24. And then we can go back. Let's see a 5-day chart here. Look at that candle down. That is a lack of trust. That isn't just like, just a random fall. That's a lack of trust in wanting to leave your money with a bond for 30 years with the U.S. Like, that's what this is. So bonds have plummeted. That just a random plummet going on in the same time that we're seeing gold go up. So what that tells me is a lack of trust in the dollar, or lack of trust in being in the dollar long term. This goes right into the hot potato theory that I've been talking about on my channel for a long time. Is we see the dollar not plummeting, so bonds go down, which is locking your money up in the dollar, right? And hoping that they pay you back not even a percentage to keep up relatively even close with inflation, but they're going to pay you 2.2% to lock up your money for 30 years. Who would do that? There's foolish people born every day, but some people might do that. Who knows? But let's go to what's interesting is we go to the DXY. The dollar didn't plummet in the same way. So what that tells me is people are okay with temporarily being in the dollar, but they're not okay with being in the dollar long term. So the temporary aspect is okay, which goes under the hot potato theory. The dollar index goes up and up and up, and eventually people find a place to throw that money. And it's going into gold. Some of it might go to real estate, some of it might go to other places, but I think that people are getting a little bit concerned with the equities market being so lofty and so overvalued. I mean, at this point, even at these levels here, this is I don't mean to keep going back and forth, but actually, I got to do that real quick. I wanted to show, I mean, so people see this, you see the 5-day chart, and people will be talking about like the 5-day chart. Okay, we have a little bit of a pullback there. That means we're going to bounce. It's a perfect time to buy the dip. You'll hear people wanting to print some tendies out there. I hear on YouTube all the time. Time to buy the dip, right? No, I don't think so, because this is the 5-day chart, and you go, okay, that's a dip. Well, this is how far it can dip. Let's go ahead and pull up the 1-year chart. Okay, let's scroll it back a little bit until when the printing started. The printing started in March of 2020. So does that look like a buy the dip opportunity, or does that look like, it's just the beginning of a free fall down all the way to around this range? Like, I mean, people don't realize just how high and lofty the stock market still is. I hear people talking all the time, there's been a pullback, there's this, and it's a good time to buy the dip. Let me move me up here. But look at this. This is where This is where the market got, this is when the printing press started, and this is where we are today. So this is March of 2020 here, and this is where we are today. There is a ton of room to free fall here. A ton of room. So people talk about buying the dip. I think the dip hasn't even started. Not even close. I mean, we still have companies that price to earnings ratios are non-existent. These are pretty much collectibles here. You go, I have some Tesla stock. I own some collectible Tesla stock. I mean, what do you really own with that? Down to 860. That's a nice dip on Tesla. Look at that. It was up well over, I think, 1,100 at one point was its all-time highs. Was even 1,100, something around those range. But look at that pullback there. Nearly 5% today in one day. But I just want to show this chart of the NASDAQ because it just shows just how lofty the tech sector still is. I mean, this is all this money printing, and now they're going to talk about tapering and starting to, put money back into the system. The Fed, they're going to raise rates and taper. Like, it just doesn't look like a buy the dip event. It looks like there's a huge amount of room to fall. But then at the same token, so you have this huge amount of room to fall here, but at the same time, we go to gold, and gold isn't even at its all-time high. We pull up the same one-year chart on gold. It's like gold has a ton of room to go up. It's all-time highs up here. It's like, okay, well, March of 2020, let's pull back March of 2020. Here's March of 2020 when they started the printing press. Gold hasn't had nearly the same kind of gain as the stock market. Not even close. So to see this type of a room to go up, gold has a ton of room to go up. The NASDAQ has a ton of room to fall. The stock market has a ton of room to fall at the same time. So I find that to be very interesting. Something that I'm looking at myself, but not enough people are talking about it, I don't think, where they go like, oh, this is a great, buy the dip opportunity. I go, I think people are selling these collectibles. I call equities collectibles, and they're putting that money in dollars, which is why we see the DXY holding some value right now, and they're looking for an opportunity to get out of those dollars and get rid of them before they burn them. It's a hot potato. That hot potato can be very valuable if you know when to throw it. But inevitably, that hot potato is going to burn you. And I'm referring to hot potatoes being dollars. And I think a lot of investors are looking at it that way. And I think that's why we're seeing the dollar holding its value. I mean, 96 on the dollar index is still relatively high. And the interesting part is if the dollar index stays high, the stock market is plummeting, and gold is starting to go up, precious metal starting to go up. When that dollar index inevitably falls, that means it'll take more dollars to buy gold. So gold valued in dollars will show it goes way, way higher. So what people don't talk about enough is if the dollar index plummets, that means it'll take more dollars to buy these assets. That's what it means. So as the dollar holds its lofty valuation, that's actually bullish for gold in my opinion because the movement hasn't happened yet. If the dollar index plummets, again, it's going to take more dollars to buy sound money, to buy silver and gold. It's very interesting that it's holding these lofty valuations with all of this uncertainty happening. And again, with the situation with Russia and their possible invasion of Ukraine, I have no idea what they're going to do. Nobody really has any idea what they're going to do. So it's all speculation, but that's why we're seeing this temporary quick jump. But I think that inevitably it will actually spark what is that. It almost is like you have this house of cards, and that's just pulling one of the cards off the bottom there, and the whole card tower just starts falling because it's not even about flicking the one card there. It's just that it's a house of cards in the first place. So it's just one action that creates the turmoil that and the chaos that could happen because it's all, again, a house of cards. It's all money that's back to nothing. Isn't it something crazy that we have a situation where we have all these currencies that are literally back to thin air competing with one another in their own marketplace? So you have a basket of currencies, whether it's the yen or the ruble or the dollar or the CAD. You have all these different currencies, and they're all back to nothing, and they compete with each other on a daily basis in a market. It's like, what is this? This is all like a Ponzi scheme. You want to talk about a real Ponzi scheme? It's the currency market. It's like, okay, you're all back to nothing. You all don't back your money to precious metals or anything. And you compete with one another on which has the most buying power. So currently, the dollar is winning this competition, holding up at 96, but it's back to nothing. So it's like the currencies markets is not being looked at enough, and it really is, it's kind of laughable to me. And I think that a lot of countries out there are going to start getting sick of the dollar. I mean, look at rather than talk about speculation, let's talk about what has Putin really said. Like, what has he actually gone on the record and said? He's said things like, we're getting out of the dirty dollar. Like, he's literally gone on record talking about how bad the dollar is. So do you think it's on his radar to not be on a dollar standard? Like to not have the dollar as the reserve currency of the world? Like, yeah, I think it's on his radar. Just my personal opinion, but let's talk about what he's actually said on the record. Look it up. Look up what he said about the dollar. He referred to it as like dirty, tied to families that are very corrupt, all these different things. And meanwhile, what is Russia doing? Rather than talking about speculation, what are they doing and what have they done? Well, China and Russia are both stockpiling gold quite a bit. Russia recently said that they're going to start being more welcoming to cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, things like that. It's interesting to me, the timing of it all. Something tells me that they're just sick of the dollar being the reserve currency of the world. That's my take on what's going on here. I don't want to talk about speculation because I don't know what they're going to do in regards to military type stuff. I'm involved in finance. I don't really know how to comment on the political type stuff or the military type stuff. I think that I would rather look at what are they actually doing. And what they're actually doing is buying a lot of gold, being more welcoming to crypto. I hope they're more welcoming to Bitcoin and they don't use this basket of crypto. I hope they accept that. I personally only believe in Bitcoin. I'm not big in crypto, quote unquote, but I think that's very interesting. And I think that when they start realizing, hey, this reserve currency status might be up for grabs. That's what I think is going on. And that's actually a very scary situation because people don't understand just how easy it would be to displace the dollar as a reserve currency, in my opinion. I mean, look at what we did in Bretton Woods, right? With leaving the Bretton Woods Agreement, what Nixon did in 1971 is basically just outright, being a bully. It's like giving people IOU notes and then saying, hey, we got a pretty strong military, so actually your IOU notes, they're not redeemable to anything. We were just kidding about that. Could you imagine? Like that actually happened? That's real. And for some reason, 50 years goes by and people sweep it under the rug like it's no big deal. It's like, wait, we literally stockpiled all this gold, told everybody that their money, if they use the dollar, is back to gold. And then we just said, oh, remember how you trusted us? You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that because guess what? Those IOU notes are now not redeemable to anything. Ha ha ha. Joke's on you. And I think a lot of these countries haven't forgotten that. And they're going, okay, well, what was it back to in the first place? Well, in the first place, it was back to gold. Ironically enough, this gold bar right here, if you want to see better pictures of it, go to my Instagram, at Rob Soltan on Instagram, shameless plug. I have pictures of my infamous toad. This guy right here on a whole nother level. Way higher levels than I ever could aspire to achieve. My infamous toad right there. But this bar is actually from a New York assay office, so an actual assay office. It's a government-issued piece of gold here. I have better pictures of that on the Instagram if you want to see that, and of toad right there. But I think that there's a situation where other countries are going to start realizing, well, why don't we just buy gold? And that's what they're doing. Russia has stockpiled a ton of precious metals. They have a ton of the precious minerals in the world. And same thing with China. They're starting to stockpile. We don't even really know exactly how much. It's all speculation how much they really have. But I think that they're stockpiling for a reason. And they have a lot of, and also specifically in Russia, they have a lot of reserves. So they have a lot of oil. They have, I think most of the world's palladium comes from Russia and South Africa. So Russia is has specific precious minerals in Russia that other countries don't have and they need from them. So if they close off their country and they try to go to a new currency or they try to stop, he has literally said we're getting off of the dirty dollar, like relatively recent. I think that was like within a year ago or something like that. Putin said we're getting off the dirty dollar. I think he even referred to it as like the Rothschild dollar or something along those lines. And it's like very obvious that he's sick of the dollar. And what are they doing? They're buying gold. So, and at the same time, there's uncertainties popping up with this possible situation with Ukraine, and then gold's going up at the same time. So I think that more people need to talk about what would happen if the ruble became back to gold. Just a totally wild theory, and this probably extremely unlikely. I could sound foolish saying this, but what happens if a currency in the world decides to back their money to gold or back their money to some sort of asset, and then the dollar's back to nothing? What would happen? Is it possible that the dollar could plummet in value relative to this other currency? Because as of right now, all of the currencies are back to thin air. But what happens if one of the currencies wants to compete? What happens if one of the currencies says, yeah, I'm kind of sick of the standard of being back to nothing. Maybe we adopt Bitcoin, just like El Salvador did. Maybe something like that happens. I mean, and isn't that a beautiful thing? If you really consider it from like a logical basis, it would make so much sense to have a universal layer that everyone trusted that wasn't attached to any individual government. I mean, wouldn't that be a beautiful thing if all humans around the world decided, you know what? No government, no country should have the power to dilute their currency. No country should have the power to take over all of the currencies in the world. No individual entity should have that kind of power that the US currently has right now. It should be divided and decentralized, and it should be a fair system. I mean, is that crazy to think about? If you think about like what's inevitable for the future, I hope for a future like that. I hope for a future where there is a universal currency, a universal asset where people have a real safe haven, not some funky bond, a treasury bond. Like, who wants to buy it? Like, if you lock up your money in a treasury bond, just my opinion, disclaimer, it's the most foolish thing ever. Like, who in the world wants to lock up their money for 30 years when you know inflation is over 7% on their standard? Really, I think it's like well over 15%. But on their standard, it's 7%. Are you going to lock your money up for 30 years to get a measly 2.2%? And you're going to trust that they're going to even pay you that 2.2%? I mean, that is the most wild, laughable thing ever. But that's the options right now. So to me, I just think that there's going to be a situation where inevitably we have to have some sort of universal layer that is trustworthy, because as of right now, none of these currencies are trustworthy. They're all hot potatoes in my opinion. And I think the only reason we see the DXY holding up right now is because people are scared and they know that having dollars in 2008 was very valuable. There's a lot of hot buying opportunities to throw those dollars at something. And I think the way that this plays out is there's more competition out there to displace the dollar as the reserve currency of the world. Just to be point blank about it. That's my thoughts on all of this. Again, I like to talk about like what has actually happened and what is happening. And currently, countries like Russia and China buying up a ton of gold, talking bad about the dollar, saying the dollar is dirty, it's back to nothing. It's all these different things. They're saying this, and at the same time buying up gold, and then there's a possibility of invading a different place. And so I think it's just a matter of time, and it's just flicking at that bottom of the house of cards. And inevitably, that house of cards does start to fall. I hope that this brings some value to you. I hope that there's some good information. And the main thing is not just to do these videos to say, like, I'm right, I know about all of this stuff. I don't want to act like I'm some sort of guru. If anything on my channel, if you are so kind to be a subscriber or to like my videos, is to kind of spark a thought process on all of this. To put your thoughts out there and to, bounce these kind of ideas off of everyone. I mean, in the comment sections, it's always great to see what's going on in the comment sections. I always, at the end of my live feed, I always like to go through the comments, which I'm going to be doing here in a second. Not just what I'm saying, but what people are talking about in the comment section is very, very valuable. I go back. I have to specifically do it on my YouTube videos to go into the back end of the editor and make sure that the live stream comments are available. And I don't edit them. I have no moderator, by the way. All of the comments are just, it's a free-for-all over there. So you might have somebody that's a little wild. Whatever goes down in the comments goes down in the comments. There's no editing there at all. All comments are allowed there. So it's a really good place to learn because you get a lot of different ideas back and forth going on in the comments. But again, I don't want to act like I'm some sort of guru. I just want to at least spark this kind of conversation. And my overall sentiment here is that I think the people that have been in control of the dollar have gotten very complacent. They're very comfortable on the pedestal that they're on, and they go, we stole the entire world's money, and we took their gold, and we made it back to nothing, and we just stole it all. Like, let's just be point blank about it. Like, in 1971, they literally just stole the world's gold. They said, here, trust us. Oh, by the way, don't trust us. We stole it all. That's what happened. And so 50 years goes by, or 51 years goes by, and I think countries haven't forgotten about that. And they want to, and I think that there's a lot of complacency around the fact that, like, when you hear Jay Powell speak or people in charge of the Fed, or they tend to totally overlook the fact that this is all thin air. Like, the stock market is backed to, like, what are stocks valued in? It's not just about the stock market pulling back. It's about what are the stocks denominated in. These stocks are denominated in dollars. And what happens to your stock if the dollar loses its buying power relative in the currency basket? What happens if the dollar goes down and the fiat currencies of the world go down and maybe something displaces it? Maybe one of the currencies decides to not be a fiat currency anymore. Just a thought. Again, I could be completely crazy, but just a thought. What happens if one country decides to not be a fiat currency and decides to back their money to something? And then all the fiat currency basket plummets. What happens if more people want to get into gold, want to get into Bitcoin, these different universal layers, and that displaces the fiat currencies of the world, namely the dollar? Then you have a situation where your stocks are valued in the fiat. Stocks aren't valued in gold. Stocks are valued in your fiat currency. They're valued in dollars. So if the dollar goes from 96 to 50, let's say, and your stock market plummets in half, well, no, you lost double because the instrument of measure lost its value, not just the stock. So that's a double whammy of pain. And not enough people talk about that. It's about I like to look at what's the denominator here, and it's the dollar. And what is the dollar valued? What is the dollar back to? Nothing. Thin air. And do you trust the people that are in control of that dollar? Do you trust that the number really is 7%? Do you trust that it was transitory? Remember in January when the CPI data was 1.4%? In January of 2021, it was 1.4%. And what did they say? Powell came out there smiling, put on his front and said, hey, it's transitory. It's all transitory. Everything's going to be fine. Just a little supply chain issue, we're going to shift things up. Things are going to be fine. Transitory. Oh, now it's 7%. Guess it's not transitory anymore. These are the individuals that are running the monetary supply. These are the people that are running the dollar. They don't seem like they're very good managers. I wouldn't hire them. Would you? When we talk about like lines of credit, for example, if we got to prove, we got to prove that we have, over 700 credit to qualify for something, try to get 750 credit, whatever. What's their line of credit? 30 trillion in debt. Do they deserve a loan? Do the world look at that and go, oh, yeah, they printed 14 trillion in less than 2 years. Yeah, that seems like we should all run off their standard. Yeah, definitely. They're great managers of this currency. It's staggering to me that not enough people talk about that. But anyway, let's get to some comments around here. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Tend to ramble a little bit. Let me get to some of these comments. I'm sure I've missed a few of them. I don't like to miss, if there was a super chat or something, let me know. I don't like to miss those, but let me scroll through here. Show the frog. Look, he's a toad, all right? It's a toad. It's not a frog. He's already, you could tell he's mad right now because you called him a frog. Specifically, he's a toad, obviously. If you want to see, what? This is where I'll yeah, this is his idea. He's like, if they want to see me, you got to go to the Instagram and follow us on Instagram at Rob Soltan on Instagram. The toad doesn't want me to show him a close up on the video. Unfortunately, he's forcing people to go to the Instagram to follow us on Instagram if you want to see a close up of the bar and of Toad. Wow, good marketing tactic, bro. That was a sharp one. I wish I came up with that. See, he's my boss. I need him in this world. He's a marketing machine. That guy, I'm telling you. James Silverson says, Rob, Engelhard worth it or generic? What about Geiger? For resale purposes, I know Engelhard will always hold a premium because they're just out of business. Some people don't understand vintage, but it's like vintage silver is companies that are out of business. So their hallmark, their stampings are not around anymore. So obviously it's going to be more desirable. So if you can get in, I personally, all of my premium pieces have gone up in value more than my non-premium pieces and have become more rare. So that's just my rough overview of it. So if I can, I always go for the more premium pieces myself. I hope not. That's one thing. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that like this live stream, for example, I put in the story on my Instagram. Someone said that it didn't show. We'll see if it did or not. I thought I posted. I always put if YouTube, if you click subscribe and then you click the bell after on YouTube, you hopefully will get a notification. But if you don't, you will get another one on my Instagram, because on my Instagram, you'll see like on the story right there. I don't know if it'll focus or not, but on my Instagram, it just, if you click the little thing right there, I give a little link to the actual video and say, hey, I'm going live in 10 minutes. And I did that this time. So hopefully it worked. It seems like it was seen by like 100 some odd people real quick. And I just only posted it like 10 minutes ago. So Seems like it works. Somebody said it might not be working, but I think it does. Someone says flip the sand timer. I'll tell you what, I'll do my cringe-worthy streamer thing. If we get to over 150 likes on here, we'll flip the sand timer. We'll go for 30 more minutes. You know, so that's my cringe-worthy streamer marketing tactic. But mainly I kind of wanted to give my take on this little spike here. At the end of the day with gold, to go back to what we were talking about in this video, and if you know on my live streams, by the way, I always go to the comments in the end of the video. So in the beginning, so people can watch the beginning of the video and not have to hear some people give me complaints saying, hey, you focus on the comments too much. I always like to focus on the comments. So if you're cool enough to be in here with us in the live stream, I always like to make sure we go through the comment section, but I do that at the end. But to go back to the point on gold, I think that this is kind of, I want to see what happens over the next coming weeks. I didn't talk about that yet. This is just a start. It's just flicking at the bottom of the house of cards. This is really just a start, and it's really speculation right now. It's a risk-off situation, so there's no guarantees on what happens with gold in the near term unless it gets confirmed. I think we haven't had a confirmation yet. This is just an anomaly day. It's an anomaly day where the stock market is down pretty heavy. The NASDAQ being down 3% today, and gold jumping up 1.7% is an anomaly. You see gold going up and the stock market plummeting down. Usually they're going down at the same time as of recent. This is an anomaly day, and that's what we're bringing up today, but it's not a confirmation. I think there's a big difference between an anomaly and a confirmation, and the confirmation will be over the next coming weeks, coming months. You know, if gold continues this trend up and the stock market continues the trend down, this is just the first spark of that. And this spark, we have to be honest with ourselves, is due to the uncertainty of this Ukraine situation. That's what's happening. There's an uncertainty going on. That was all over the news, and all of a sudden you see gold spike. So we haven't had the confirmation yet. We just have a spark. We have a flicking at the bottom of the house of cards. And so that's just me being blatantly honest about the situation here. A lot of precious metals channels are going to be like, gold to the moon. This is it. This is happening now. It's going to 5,000 an ounce. What I would rather say is just I'm being realistic about it, that this is just the beginning. It's just the spark. Let's wait to see if we get a confirmation here. That's at least how I look at it right now. But go over some more of the comments. Stephen Brown, he says, Russia has dumped all of their U.S. dollars, sold most of their U.S. treasuries. Yeah, man, this is what they've actually done. And I appreciate you bringing that up, Stephen. It's like, don't talk about, I'm sick of people talking about so much speculation. It's all speculation. Nothing has happened yet. They haven't done anything yet. As of right now, we're just doing the Olympics, you know? So it's like, I want to, if they actually did go into the Ukraine or whatever, if that happened, then I would go, okay, that's something to talk about here. But as of right now, it's a non-event because nothing has happened. But what has actually happened? They have talked bad about the dollar. They've gotten out of the dollar. Putin has gone out there and said specifically, we are getting out of the dirty dollar. I think he even called it the dirty Rothschild dollar. Don't quote me on that, but I think he did say that. I'm a little bit nervous to say that here because I don't know if that he said it. He said that family name. Flag him. I'm dancing on ice, walking on glass around here. But that's why it's so important to follow me on all the platforms. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. If you do that, kind of add some diversification, which is smart. But he really did go on the record to say that. So very negative comments from Putin on the dollar, and at the same time, he's buying a lot of gold, and they're hoarding their precious metals. I believe that they're actually not even exporting their precious metals like they used to. So Russia was huge for palladium and platinum, and that might be why we're seeing palladium starting to spike a bit, because palladium's been in a deficit for like 6 years straight. Not enough people talk about there's a limited amount of palladium. There's not enough palladium to meet the demand, which is why I have a big palladium position. That's why if you go to my Instagram, plug the Instagram a little bit more, I actually have pictures of a 10-ounce palladium Engelhard bar that I have in my collection. And I really do believe in palladium because it's starting to be used in a lot more things, and there's a very limited amount of it, and it's a byproduct of I believe it's their nickel mining over there in Russia. It's a byproduct, palladium, from their nickel mining. And so they're not exporting this. They're like hoarding it. And the more they hoard, they're hoarding precious metals and at the same time getting out of the dollar. So it's like, don't talk about the speculation. Talk about what are they actually doing. And what they're actually doing is a smart it's a smart move in my opinion. Get out of the thing that's back to nothing and run by a bunch of, bingo players. Let's just be honest. People in the Fed, bunch of bingo players. I'm pretty sure they went to Washington. They're like, let's go to the local bingo hall. Yellen, perfect. Powell, perfect. You'll run the whole world's monetary supply. And they're just like, okay. That's pretty much what we got over here. Do you blame them? I don't. But that's what they're doing. They're getting out of the dollar and they're going into precious metals and they're hoarding it. So something to be said there. So again, it's like everybody would specifically want me to talk about, oh, well, they're possibly going to invade the Ukraine and this and that going to happen. It's like, no, let's talk about what they're actually doing and what they have done. They're hoarding precious metals. They're getting out of the dollar. That's what's happening. We'll get to a few more comments in here. So we've done maybe I'll make this live stream one of the shorter ones for once. We usually do these live streams for like 2 hours sometimes, but got to, maybe for once we'll keep it kind of short for people that want to watch it later on. We'll see. Let me get to a few more comments over here. Someone said serious talk of war can boost gold prices. Absolutely. Absolutely. But there's no, I said 150. I said 150. I did not say at the end of the day, I mean, that's my cringeworthy thing I say in the live streams. If we get to 150 likes, we'll go for another 30 minutes, but we got to get to 150 likes. So I'll be that streamer today. I'll be a streamer trying to get some likes around here because it really does. What's funny is apart from, obviously, it's like everyone says that on YouTube. Hit the like button. Please hit the like button. I hear it all the time, and then I don't do it. Like I get it. I've been there. But it really does with these specific videos that are kind of controversial subjects. It really helps in the algorithm. And if you go to my last videos that I've done, they've gotten a lot more views because of bringing up the like button. For some reason, if you get enough likes, if you have it's like the ratio of viewers to likes. If you have a lot of likes for the viewers that are watching, it starts promoting it in the algorithm, which is basically like a robot software. So it's not like a human's going through and choosing which videos go to more people or not. Specifically, the likes help the videos get out there to more people, which really is helpful if you want this information to get out there. If you're a stacker, this is really, it's good information for more people to learn about. So really does help if you hit the like button. Apart from me saying like, oh, I'll go for 30 more minutes, and I will. If we get to 150 likes, I will go for 30 more minutes. But it does help get the content out there. Jerry, I appreciate the super chat, man. I never miss a super chat. So those add up. I appreciate it, man. He says Jerry loves Bitcoin, silver, platinum, and gold. Love it, Jerry. I love it. I'm with you. I'm in the same basket, man. And he didn't even have a question or anything. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. That means a lot to me, Jerry. But I'm on the same page as you. Jerry loves Bitcoin, silver, platinum, and gold. That's exactly, and in that order too. It's funny. It's like I like that exactly in that order. I would throw palladium in the mix as well. I'm actually starting to like palladium just as much as platinum. So they're like on the same level with me. And they do similar things, but just you get more bang for the buck with palladium because it's a little bit more of platinum is more dense of a metal, so you get more of the industrial quality of the metal and that's why so much of the industry has shifted to palladium because you get more palladium. And I've made a video on that. If you go to my channel after this live stream and go to I think it's under the precious metals playlist. If you go to the palladium video I did, it shows a comparison between a 10-ounce block of palladium and a 10-ounce block of platinum. That'd make a cool photo for the Instagram later to show the difference between palladium and platinum, just on a photo basis. Write that down, all right, Toad? Yeah, he actually doesn't take orders from me. I take orders from him. He could fire me if he wanted. That's a good idea. We should write that down. But anyway, I appreciate that, Jerry. Thank you, man. Anonymous Andy says he's saving for a house. He gets 100-ounce silver bar or 10-ounce bars. That's a good question. Me personally, the premium is it depends on what the premium is. You might catch an arbitrage situation where the 10-ounce premium is not as high, or it's worthwhile. But 9.9 times out of 10, the 100-ounce is going to have less premium. And I find the 100-ounce and a 50-ounce and like 20-ounce bars to be like it's more substantial and it's easier to hold a good amount. So it's more divisible in a 10-ounce bar, but I like the fact that I get more silver for the buck with a 100-ounce bar. So specifically, one of the markets that I'm looking at right now is like heavier vintage bars, because the vintage market just absolutely exploded. There's so much new collectors going into the vintage silver and gold market, which is where I'm at. Like this is a vintage gold bar, for example. This is an actual government issued bar from 1946 from the actual New York Assay Office. Again, photos on the Instagram of both Toad and the bar. So if you want to go follow me on Instagram, you'll see photos of that. And all the different marketing that Toad has been up to lately. Really, I say Toad, but he's kind of like Scarface in a way. He's if you guys caught the last little reel he did on the Instagram. But no, it's the vintage market is really exploding right now because there's a limited amount of vintage bullion out there. These companies are out of business. Obviously, well, the New York Assay Office was actually sold. So the New York Assay Office doesn't even exist anymore. And the government really doesn't make, other than the mint making coins, they don't make bullion bars like government issued bullion bars like that. So things like that are very interesting to me. Like I have actual, again, on my Instagram, I have blocks of COMEX bars that are actually from the assay office, 1,000-ounce did I say blocks of silver. I love that kind of stuff. So for me, I look for low premium, but with rarity value attached to them as well. That's one of the marketplaces that I really like the most. And yeah, one of the places I like to be myself. Mark says, Rob, I was stoked to subscribe to you, but you're only publishing once a week after some outstanding video. What's up, man? Hit those goals. Marco, the criticism is valid. The criticism is valid. I don't like to shill what I'm working on because I like to keep it kind of under wraps, but I'm one guy. You know, I don't have an editing team. If you notice with my videos, I don't have an editor. I don't have a moderator moderating the comment sections. I do it all myself. And I'm also coding a new website. So if you go to mineralx.com, so I own Mineral Exchange, that's my company, and I'm building a new website right now. And so if you go to my website, you'll see if you right now there's no products on there. I'm working on it, and we're going to be launching a new website pretty soon. So I guess I just dropped the ball in this live stream. You're the first to know about it. So if you sign up on the email list, there should be an email list thing on the top when you first go to the website, mineralexchange.com. If you put your email on that list, you'll be notified first when I drop what I'm working on. But that's what I've been working on. So if I'm gone for like a week, it isn't because I don't want to make videos. It's because I'm working on something. And that's going to add to the channel. So I'm always working on something. I'll tell you this much. I take no breaks. I work 24/7, 365. I rarely even sleep. I get like 5 hours of sleep a night at most. So I'm working a lot. But valid criticism. I plan to be making a lot more videos. Don't you think 1,000-ounce bars might be a pain to unload when needed? Yes, they are, Eric, just to be point blank about it. They're 70 some odd pounds, so they're pretty heavy. So when I know it firsthand from carrying them around all the time. But 100-ounce bars are, only 7 pounds. So I like 100-ounce bars are like the perfect lower premium stackability. 100 is really the best size. I got into 1,000-ounce bars because I like a shipwreck treasure bar. I like the Garasopa I have. I like the COMEX bars from the New York Assay Office that I have. I don't know if I would stack 1,000-ounce bars if it was just like a standard generic 1,000-ounce bar made yesterday. It has to be really cool for me to want to buy a 1,000-ounce bar. For example, I don't want to own, I wouldn't specifically go for a 25-ounce generic brick of gold, but this is a New York Assay Office 25-ounce brick of gold. So obviously I'm going to go after this because it's really, really cool. Just to stack it, I wouldn't be going for the heavier weights, but the 100-ounce size class, 50-ounce size class, really good size class for stacking. That's what I would focus on. Who made? You know what? I think Toad was put here by Egyptians. I think he's like an Egyptian treasure. He's an anomaly of the world. He's vintage, that's for sure. But I'm just happy that I could be his employee. He's my boss. I'm the employee. He tells me what to do stuff. I mean, he calls the shots around here. But I think he's been on the earth longer than I have, certainly. Jerry loves Bitcoin, silver, platinum, and gold. Give me $20. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. And I never miss those super chats. It really does mean a lot to me. I appreciate it, man. He says, Rob Soltan for president. I don't know about it, politics with me, man. I'd rather criticize them and stay on the entrepreneurial level. One of the things I will say about politics really quick, and I wrote this on my Twitter recently, I want to see more politicians, this is just me specifically, that succeeded in capitalism, and that gets them elected because it proves that they're doing it out of like, they just want to do it. Because they already succeeded as an entrepreneur. They succeed in capitalism. What we see too much in today's society is politicians that succeeded in capitalism due to becoming a politician. I hate that. You see like an Elizabeth Warren, for example. She wasn't extremely wealthy prior to being a politician. She became a politician. Suddenly her book is selling more than usual, and she's flying around in Learjets. It's like, you made money off being a politician, not from prior to being a politician. I think more people need to succeed in capitalism prior to being a politician instead of going into being a politician to succeed in capitalism. But maybe I'm a little crazy. But Jerry, I appreciate you saying that, man. He says, I made a video about this subject on my channel. So shout out Jerry loves Bitcoin, silver, platinum, and gold. I will check that out, Jerry. And people watching this after the live stream, check that out as well. He said he made a video specifically on his channel about this. Jerry, I'm going to write that down. I got a little paper right here. Your channel name is Jerry Loves, like that's the actual channel name, right? I got to check this out. I appreciate that, man. I'll remember now. I have to write it down because I got a squirrel brain. I got the ADD thing, but I'll remember it. I appreciate that, man. We'll go through a few more comments around here. We got to 133 likes, so we didn't quite get to 150 likes. I said if we got to 150, we'll go for another 30 minutes, and we're at 133 likes around here. So I guess we got 229 people watching right now, but we didn't get to 150 likes. So if you guys hit that like, just kidding, but seriously, if you hit the like button, it does help get these videos out there to more people, and it does help. So if you could click the subscribe, the bell afterwards, and hit the like button, really does help my channel quite a bit. And I've noticed that I rely a lot on these live streams to get subscribers because they say that they like remove subscribers to get rid of spam accounts. But at the same time, I've had comments saying like, hey, I was randomly removed as a subscriber. I'm a human. And why was I removed as a subscriber from your channel? I'm like, that's very strange. I get that comment a lot, actually. I've had that comment like more than 10 times where people like literally comment, I was a subscriber and randomly I'm not a subscriber anymore. And then on the back end of my channel, it says on the top of the thing, it says, note that there might be you might see subscribers go down due to removing spam accounts. And I wonder, it's like, is it all spam accounts or are you accidentally taking out real people there? I don't know, but something interesting. Some people say like, yeah, I was not notified. See, if you're not notified, follow me on Instagram, because if you go to my Instagram on the story, I put a link even into the live video. So it's better than a notification on YouTube because you actually get a link into the waiting room for the live video. So it's the story mode on the Instagram is actually the best notification. I'm sure they don't want me to say that because YouTube's different than Instagram, but really does help if you follow me on Instagram at Rob Soltan on Instagram. And we're starting to grow a little bit. I started posting a little bit more serious on Instagram maybe like 2-3 months ago, and we're already up to like almost 6,000 people on the Instagram. So getting some movement there. I think mainly it has to do with Toad. People don't want to look at me very much on the Instagram, but when Toad makes his appearances, I mean, there's his videos and stuff it's impressive stuff he works on over there. Bangarang talking about the dislike thing. I actually loved, I'll be honest with you guys, I loved the dislike button. I loved it. Even when it was not in my favor, to me, it was like the first thing I looked at on the video. Like I would go there and I go, what's the ratio right now? Okay, well then that video is worth time. If you see 1,000 likes, 10 dislikes, you go, oh, well that's probably a good video, probably worth my time, but then now you have no idea. And you don't know if like the general public actually liked the video or didn't like the video. I don't know. It wouldn't have been a decision that I would have made. Just my personal opinion. Please don't flag me. Please don't flag me. Shoot my video out. Come on, Algo. Please like the like. Please hit the like. Am I allowed to say stuff like that? That I don't like that they got rid of that. Anyway, I agree. Let me. What are your thoughts on the Fed's emergency meeting on Monday? Wow, we got to 162 likes. I guess I'm going to have to turn over that sand timer over there. You took a while to get there, though, so it's like I'll go through I feel like that was like a 15-minute period. We'll see what happens. All right. And we'll go through like half the sand timer going down. So that's a 30-minute sand timer. You over 160, James says. I think I weigh like 165, 160 something. Usually between 160, 170, depending on how much I'm eating. I'm doing the intermittent fasting thing right now, so I haven't even eaten today yet. I usually eat one big meal a day or two at most. Drink a lot of water, so it depends on if I'm eating a lot or working out a lot, but usually around 160, 170. And I'll say I'm 6 foot, depending on what dating app it is, but I'm actually like 5'11", so... So that's if someone was trying to size me up a little bit. Sound money refers to how silver sounds when it tings against another coin. That is true. Sound money is literally from the sound of dropping coins on a counter. That's where the term sound money came from. Chicken Rom, a lot of people tell me to do that. I've been looking. I got to write that down too. Got a little pad in front of me. I know, weren't they? I think they just offered Joe Rogan $100 million to go there. Like, isn't it a good position to be in Joe Rogan's place? Like, you get $100 million to go to Spotify, $100 million to go to there. I mean, he's in a good position. Someone else, how much money they throw at that guy. But that was interesting that they're trying to get Rogan over there. John says, people are so scared to talk now. Will they be able to talk in the years to come? It's a good question, John. It's a good question. I do my best to tell it like it is on this channel. So if you subscribe to my channel, you're helping it grow. And if you follow me on Instagram and these different places, Twitter and Instagram are where I'm mainly at, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Well, now it's like I think Instagram I'm on more than Twitter now because Twitter's kind of I don't know, it's kind of a free-for-all over there. But Instagram I like it a little bit more than Twitter. But anyway, I hope that there's more platforms out there because the problem is that I see with social media is that if one platform becomes king, then you have a situation where it's not getting checks and balances. Just like the dollar has been, to bring it back to this video, just because the dollar became the reserve currency of the world, that's when they get comfortable and they start doing crazy stuff. So when one entity becomes the king of social media, then they have more power and they start doing this crazy stuff. But it isn't until people leave that king and go somewhere else that the king over here decides, oh, wait, we kind of messed up. Let's let people talk a little bit more. We shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done that. Until that happens, then they don't. But something I have noticed, like there's been situations where channels get deleted and stuff, and then somebody has a big following on Instagram or Twitter and they're not connected. They're different. So then they call them out, and then you see YouTube go and comment, go, oh, we're sorry about that. We'll give you your channel back because they have checks and balances on them. So it's important to have other social medias, I think, to have that checks and balances layer. Again, I don't know who's listening, but just my opinion, not financial advice. Disclaimer. But it's really important. Someone says that is a real haircut. You know, there's a few things you spend extra money on, and one of them is a haircut. Shout out John, my barber. That dude is the man. But yeah, my barber takes care of me. Let's see here. Jay Powell will cave to the markets. More than likely, Andy. More than likely. Rob, do you see? Chicken Rama said, Rob, do you see a gold confiscation a little bit ago? And that's a great question, actually, and it's relevant to what we're talking about right now. Do I see a gold confiscation? When they confiscated gold in 1933 under Roosevelt, it's important to note that a lot of people didn't turn in their gold. So you couldn't get it anymore because they made it illegal to like sell it to the public. But the people who had their gold, most of them didn't really turn it in. So like if you had a gold bar, you had gold coins or something, like you kept it and you didn't really talk about it. A lot of people kept it. Like who was going to just give it up for, whatever. It's like a lot of people didn't give it up. So there's something to be said there about confiscation. Now it would obviously be a big damper if they said it was like illegal to buy and sell gold, especially for me owning Mineral Exchange. But it's a possibility. And that's why That's why I've kind of taken on Peter Schiff, saying that Bitcoin is, it's a good idea to have someone in a decentralized portfolio because you can't confiscate Bitcoin. The network doesn't care if an individual government tries to confiscate it. It doesn't care. It keeps up. Everything stays up because of the decentralized aspect of it. So for me, it was like that was part of the reason why I got a 5-10% position in Bitcoin, and that's done very, very well since I got in, early in 2020. But I still, if I had no Bitcoin right now, I think it's foolish to be all in on gold or all in on Bitcoin or all in on one of them. And it's equally foolish to have none. So I think it's a good idea to have Bitcoin in the portfolio and have it in cold storage in that position. Just my personal take on it, because if they do decide to make gold illegal or something like that, well, they can't stop Bitcoin. So there's something to be said there. Excuse me. Just my personal opinion, not financial advice, disclaimer. But confiscation was more voluntary versus physically trying to take it from rightful owners. Exactly. It was involuntary. They said that you had to do it, right? But people saw it as voluntary. They made it like a crime to not do it, but how many people actually did it? That's something to bring up. A lot of people didn't do it. Did you see this, Mark? Did you see the black gold situation playing out? I don't know what you're referring to, Marco. Free like summer. I appreciate the super chat. He says, what are your thoughts on True Social? See, like, I'm even afraid to say our ex-president's name. And like, I'm literally like, I think this is just me being blatantly honest with the 200 people in here. I'm legitimately afraid to say the names of things. I wonder if it's like, is that going to flag? Because he's not even allowed on the platform. So if I say the name, will that flag? That's how messed up it is. So like, just to be like with my audience, just to be completely point blank, I want my channel to grow, and I want my videos to be pushed out. So it's like I'm afraid to say certain key words. It's like it's so wrong that I think that way. And I'm not okay with that. Just so you guys know. But let me read out the rest of the comment. Our prior president's new social media launching on the 21st. Do you think Silver Squeeze may become viral there? Thanks. Free Like Summer, it's a great question, and I really appreciate the super chat, Free Like Summer. I hope. See, the way I look at it is if you have one social media that's bigger than all the other ones, that's a terrible situation. But if you have multiple social medias all trying to compete to take this one's place, that's a beautiful thing, because then this one has to start acting right. Because if they don't act right, too many people will leave that platform for the new one. So like what happens, this actually goes to Buckminster Fuller's book, Critical Path. That's a great book, by the way. Like what happens, how do you get something to change when something comes out that's better? So if something comes out that's better than the current social medias that are in play, well then that not only makes people drive from those other social medias to the new ones, but it puts checks and balances for the prior one to compete and do things the right way. So more competition is a beautiful thing. So whether it does promote the Silver Squeeze or whether it does do all these good things people are talking about, what it will do is inspire competition. And competition is a beautiful thing to see in the social medias. I want to see way more competition in the social media space. I think it was Patrick Bet David. Patrick Bet David recently was talking about this, that it would be a good idea for Rogan to go with Elon Musk and create a new platform. And I thought that was brilliant. Like what scares me, I actually wanted to make a video specifically on this subject. I tend to rant towards the end of these videos. So if you wanted to know about the whole situation with gold, that was in the beginning of the live stream. Now the live stream is just us doing a free-for-all on here for everybody in the live stream. But Elon Musk has so much power right now on his Twitter because he only does Twitter, really. He doesn't do the Instagram, doesn't do other platforms. So he's only on Twitter, right? Doesn't do YouTube, does an interview here and there. But every time he does, he just breaks the internet. But he posts frequently on Twitter. Now, here's something very scary. The amount of leverage Elon Musk gives up by allowing, like, who has true custody of his Twitter page? Well, Twitter does. And Twitter could take away Elon's page just like they did to our prior president, right? So for me, I go, you have a real big opportunity right now, Elon. And you got to understand that opportunity. You're always talking about saving humanity. Well, right now is your opportune moment to say on your Twitter feed before you get kicked off of it, because if you do, it would be strategy for Twitter to kick you off if you did create your own platform. Because what are they, like, you're giving, basically what Twitter is doing is allowing him to do free advertising. Like, how has Tesla gotten so big with a zero advertising budget? Literally, they spend $0 on marketing. Well, it's because your CEO is a rock star on Twitter. That's why. Your CEO is a literal rock star on Twitter, has way more followers than literal rock stars. So when you turn, like, a term rock star isn't even in comparison with Elon Musk. He's sitting on roughly 75 million followers on Twitter. So if there was a time for them to come out with their own social media, right now would be it, and then quickly post, hey, we have a new social media, it's called this. And then everybody goes from that 75 million user base into that new social media. So like right now, before you get kicked off, Elon Musk, like, you should probably do that, because you say some pretty wild stuff on Twitter that they would use in your advantage. Like they will eventually use that to their advantage. Say, oh, well, you said this one thing that one time, Elon. Remember in 2020 when you said this one weird thing that one time? Well, that's why we kicked you off the platform. It's not about you creating your own social media or anything like that and having 75 million followers. It's not about that, Elon. We promise. It's not about that. It's about you saying this one little thing that you said 2 years ago. That's what it's about, Elon. That's why we had to kick you off the platform. And so I think that he is not considering who has custody of that much power. And it's not him. It might appear that he has custody of that much power. And people really, it's hard to wrap your mind around just how much power it is to instantaneously be able to type something on your phone and beep 75 million people instantly. Like, a lot of people don't talk about how much power that is. That's a lot of power. A lot of power, like a stupid amount of power. And he is giving up that much power right now to somebody else that is actually, like, proven to take down a lot of people, like take them off their platform. I mean, that's a lot of trust you have there, Elon. I would personally be trying to mitigate that trust and mitigate that custody back into my hands if I was him. So, like, if someone goes to for example, like if someone goes to, this is a shameless plug, I'm just going to warn you, but if someone goes to my website, they go to Mineral Exchange and they put their email on that email list, well, now we're connected without the need of a social media, right? I have mitigated that custody. I've mitigated it. Now I have more custody of my following instead of giving the custody up to an individual platform. Elon needs to be doing something like that right now. I would already have an email list if I was him, or something along those lines where I could mitigate the custody of that kind of power, because he's trusting Twitter way too much. And Jack Dorsey's not even involved in it anymore over there. He's off of Twitter now. So he was like the only person that was kind of libertarian minded over there, it seemed like. So a lot of trust. Anyway, that's my little rant on that subject. Email is something that I have figured out recently. You're right. That's why if you go to my website, there's nothing up on the website right now. There's a little bit of, you can see some hints and hunches of what I'm working on, but at the very top, at the front page of my website, there's an email situation. So if you put your email in there, that's how I can stay and link with people no matter what. So it's something that I'm working on right now. I'm literally, what I was talking about right there with Elon is literally what I'm doing right now on a very, very small basis. But if they're talking about the possibility for somebody with that much influence like Elon Musk to make his own social media platform and go in it with Joe Rogan, let's say, well, Joe Rogan and Elon Musk right now should be using the power that they have to do this right now instead of waiting. And there's a possibility that they lose their power that they have on these social medias. I mean, imagine what happens if Spotify drops Rogan, YouTube drops them, all these social medias drop them at the same time. Keep in mind, Facebook is not only Facebook, but it's also Instagram. So they knock out, that's two with one stone there. So it's like if they get dropped from all these platforms, and Elon really only trusts Twitter. So that's really foolish. I'm surprised someone with that much game theory potential in his mind, like he definitely thinks of game theory all the time. Like how he's so trustworthy of one platform is beyond me. If I had the kind of money that Elon Musk has, I would never, ever, ever trust 75 million of my followers on one platform without mitigating that risk at all. So he doesn't have an Instagram, he doesn't have a YouTube, doesn't have anything else, but he only trusts that one platform with that kind of power. That is outright foolish. Like, that is literally foolish for somebody that intelligent to do that and with that much capital. I mean, I'm very surprised that he's willing to do that, because I'm not even willing to do that at the small level that I'm at, but he does it on a very big level. So something to be said there. Anyway, that's my little rant on that subject. See if I going through a few more comments here. Bitcoin might be deliberate psychological attempt, especially targeting the young to associate coin with a virtual. I hear what you're saying, JBG, but to me, I've studied Bitcoin for a long amount of time, and I don't think it benefits one individual government. Like it doesn't benefit there. To me, I don't see the benefit for one individual party. Like I just don't, especially with Satoshi not even ever selling any of their coins. So I just don't see that. Now I could see that with like altcoins, with like Ethereum, for example, being a very centralized coin. It's not decentralized in my opinion. Bitcoin is decentralized. So I like my reference on Bitcoin, and I plan to make another video on Bitcoin versus gold. Maybe even after this one, I'll drop it. I'll do another video on that. But it's my take on it is it's foolish to be all in, and it's equally foolish to have none. That's my sentiment. That's how I feel about gold. That's how I feel about Bitcoin. That's how I feel about silver. I think it's foolish to be all in and equally foolish to have none. And I've kept that sentiment indefinitely, and that's done me very well. So a lot of people, like for example, if people only bought into what Peter Schiff was against Bitcoin when it was like a few $100. He was against Bitcoin when it wasn't even 1,000 yet, I think. So it's like, did it make sense to follow the Peter Schiff model, or did it make sense to follow the Rob Soltan model of buying 5-10% and have it in, as an insurance play? Well, what would 5% of your portfolio look like if you bought in Bitcoin at 1,000 a Bitcoin? Like, it would be pretty good. But what would your portfolio look like if you lost that 5%? Well, it wouldn't be that damaged. So again, foolish to be all in, equally foolish to have none. That's how I feel about it. Not financial advice, just what I'm doing personally. But I think that what they're going to try to do is work on their own CBDC. They're going to have their own central bank digital currency, and now that is scary. And they already kind of do. That's something that I've talked about in the past too on the channel. It's like people go like, oh, well, what happens when they drop a CBDC? It's like, if you listen to Powell's recent interview he just did, they talked about how they digitally injected money into the economy. They don't print money. Oh, we're printing money. It's like, no, they digitally injected it already. So they already kind of have a CBDC. And now they want you to be more detailed on that ledger by dropping that thing down to 600. So all the banks report $600 transactions or more. And so it's like, they're already a ledger. They already can infinitely inject digital money into that ledger, and they already are trying to get more information from that ledger. So it's kind of a CBDC already, which is like exactly what they want. Like if you're in their position, what do you want? Do you want a limited asset like Bitcoin with a limited cap that you can't inject more? You have to rely on miners to make more. Or do you want to have the current situation where you can digitally inject in as much as you want? Like they want that kind of power. So I just don't see them being, it doesn't make sense for me to hear that they are in charge of Bitcoin or something like that. It just doesn't make sense. But that's my take on CBDCs and Bitcoin and stuff in regards to being something to do with like a government or something like that. We'll get to a few more comments and then we'll wind this one down. I think I'm almost at I'm a little bit over an hour now. We're done an hour and 10 minutes. So we'll end up winding this down. If there was, I don't think I missed any of the super chats. I never like to miss those. I appreciate them a lot. The last one was Free Like Summer. I appreciate that. So let me see here. All virtual. Well, Steve, you're technically not 100%. He says, I'm 100% in gold, silver, farmland, and ammo. It's like, well, I mean, you kind of are diversified there. You're not 100%. You're 100% into 4 different things. So you're 25%, 25%, 20. So you kind of diversify. You say 100%, but. What's up, Gary? I appreciate that. Thank you, man. 20-ounce bars or 10-ounce bars? Beto, I mean, it's kind of like, they're pretty close. You're pretty close. I mean, it doesn't really matter at that point. I guess what really matters is your premium, but I mean, there's not a big difference in the size classes there. I think the real conversation is like 1-ounce coins versus 10-ounce bars versus like 100-ounce bars would be like the three that I would be choosing from. I don't think when you talk about like a 5-ounce versus a 10-ounce or a 10-ounce versus a 20-ounce, I mean, it's not really a part of the conversation, but I think it's like junk silver, 1-ounce coins, 50-ounce bars, maybe 100-ounce bars, like 10-ounce bars somewhere in there as well. But like, I think when you talk about like that small of minute differences, not too much of a difference there. This is a great point that this individual just brings up. Try going to a bank to withdraw $10K in cash. Tried doing it several years ago to pay for a remodel project. Was told it would take several days to a week to get the cash. I have been in this similar position. They want you to use the Fed wire system, which is a one-node outdated system that takes roughly 24 hours to go through. Sometimes it takes a few hours if you're lucky, but it's an outdated, ridiculous system that they want you to use in their digital ledgers. That's why I say it's kind of a CBDC already, because their digital ledger, they want to see where that wire is going and all the information. Like, think about all the information you give out in a wire transfer. The bank that it's going to, the account, the routing number, the bank, the business address of where that wire is going. All of these different things, they want to know the business name, all of this stuff, because they're adding that to the ledger, so there's a trail of where that wire went from. So it's like they want you to do that. They don't want you to get cash out of the system. So they don't print money, they digitally inject it, and it's really hard to get that printed money these days. So something to be said. And imagine this. Imagine you got like imagine if everybody all wanted to get their money out of the bank at the same time. They wouldn't be able to do it. Like, what would happen to the repo market too if like all the citizens at the same time wanted to get all of their money out of the bank in cash at that moment? They wouldn't be able to provide it. It would expose the Ponzi scheme that the banks are. So, something to be said there. For sure. But anyway, I think that will be the live stream, everybody. We'll call it a night. I want to keep these around an hour, 10 minutes, something like that. Go a little bit longer than an hour sometimes. Like right now, we're almost at an hour 12 minutes. So for people watching this later on, it makes it kind of nice so that people can watch the live streams later on. I really appreciate everybody being part of the live stream. I will be making a lot more content on the channel. I do my best to be here at least every Friday for Friday Night Lives. But again, I am working on a lot of stuff with my own website right now and things I'm doing with my business. So that's where I've been. If I take a little bit of time, sometimes I need a week or two. But I will be making a lot more content on the channel. Please do subscribe. If you click the red subscribe button and the bell afterwards, you'll be notified of all future videos. Some people said they're saying there is still sand there, but we talked about it for a while. There's like 15 more minutes. You guys want me to keep going? You guys want me to keep going? I'll keep going if you want me to keep going. We'll go through some more comments, all right? If you want me to keep going, there is a little bit more sand in there. Fair criticism. People are mad at me bailing. If you want me to stay around, we'll stay around. I was going to call it a night. Some people watching this video like later on are going to be like, what is up with that? He said he was calling it a night. Now he's going longer. You guys got to throw some more comments out there so we can talk about some more stuff. The comments were drying up. See, I blame you guys. You got to put more comments out there. Hit the like button. Let me see. We'll go through some more of these comments here. Hey, you're mad at me at calling it a night, but there's no comments. See, like if there was comments, got to ask some questions around here. We've already gone through a lot of stuff. Fed hike, how many in 2022? And the next with both these comments, unlimited stimulus and nobody's special finance says, will Fed hike on Monday? So Fed rate hike in how many in 2022, and will the Fed hike on Monday? Both are a non-event. Like, let me just, like, there's going to be so many YouTubers out there that turn this into 20 videos of, will the Fed do this? Oh my gosh, they raised it 50 basis points. Oh, wow, that's such a big deal. It's like, no, it doesn't matter. 50 basis points is 0.5%. Nobody, if they talk about it like it's a big number by calling it 50 basis points, 100 basis points, 25 basis points, we're talking about fractions of a percent. So, I mean, when they say they're going to raise it 50 basis points, whether they do or they don't, it's a non-event. It's not going to stop a 7% inflation. You can't stop a 7% inflation by raising the rates from 0 to 0.5%. It doesn't do anything. So it just is like point blank, it doesn't matter to me. Unless they go like full Paul Volcker on this and they go, we're raising it to 20% to stop this, it doesn't matter. It's a non-event. What it will do is probably make these. I think that people in equities right now are very childish. Like I have to commend, Meet Kevin. He went public and he said, you know what? I was the guy with the diamond hands, but now I'm paper hands. I sold out. I flip-flopped. So he's making all these videos about how he flip-flopped recently, this Meet Kevin. But I got to give him credit because I would have done the same thing. He was up huge and he saved so much money. That guy was big on Tesla. Tesla crashed since that guy sold. So he's made the right decision and people gave him a lot of pullback on that. I mean, I did too, because it's like he was telling people, oh, I'm going all in. I'm holding this forever. This is not, and he flip-flops and get out. I think that he knows that the overall sentiment, what I see from the stock market holders right now and friends of mine that are in equities right now and kind of laughing at me for where I put my money in, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this can relate on that, is they're like on this sugar high. They've injected all of this money, and now rather than looking at what they're investing in, they're on this like childish sugar high where they feel that they should be given this free money. Like people want free stuff so much. They don't want freedom. They don't want to understand what they're actually investing in. They just want free stuff. So they put their money in the equities thinking, oh, well, this is just going to print me some tendies. That's what they literally say. This is going to print me money. And you have this spoiled, rotten group of people in my way. Like I think people that are invested in equities, especially like tech sector equities that are really overvalued, it's like they're spoiled rotten. They've gotten such lofty gains. They've made such crazy returns, and it's all been reliant upon them printing so much money that when they raise this rate, say they raise it to 50 basis points or 25 basis points, right? That is going to spook the market and crash the market, right? And they're going to go, oh, wow, well, they shouldn't have raised the rates a measly 1/4% or 0.5% because now the market's crumbling. And to me, it's like, it's childish. It's childish because they need to raise it to like 10, 20% to stop inflation. And they're not going to do that. So I think that there's just a lot of people that are very spoiled in the equities market right now, and they're going to get a reality check. And I think that's what Meet Kevin saw coming, and that's why he did what he did. But that's my take on the Fed is basically their rate hikes don't matter. They're measly 25 basis points, 50 basis points, based on the fact that they've printed $14 trillion out of thin air, and we're at a $30 trillion deficit. Them raising it a measly 1/4%, 0.5%, it's not going to change anything. It's not going to stop inflation levels by doing that. They need to raise it way faster than that and way bigger increments than that. They need to be raising it like 2% increments 3 times this year. You know, like if I was in charge of the Fed, I wouldn't have done what they first did in the first place, but if I was involved in this mess, it's like you'd have to do 2% increments like 3 or 4 times this year to stop inflation. Something along those lines. Now, that would actually make an impact, not these like 25, 50 basis points situations here. But that's my answer to that question. Yeah, Gary, I've talked about stagflation a lot on this channel. I made quite a few videos on stagflation. I think that we're in stagflation right now. Liquid, people saying all these bullion houses. Go to Mineral Exchange, mineralexchange.com, put your email in that one. That one's going to be the one to be on. Something's brewing. Something's brewing in there. But let me scroll through a few more of these. It was 30. All right. Well, we kept it going a little bit longer on the live stream. People were a little bit mad at me for ending it, but I mean, we've done an hour. How many bullion guys on YouTube even do live streams for an hour and 20 minutes? You know, I feel like we're part of a small group of people that do these live streams this long. I've noticed a lot of bullion guys on YouTube. We see a very good view of their hands. I mean, I got some decent hands here. I mean, sometimes I get a little bit of dirt under my nails and stuff, you know, but I mean, maybe I should start making those videos. I could be more comfortable for a long period of time with my hands. Show people my hands a lot. Hey, do you know what is going on with bullion right now? Look at this. I see those videos all the time. They're just, look at my hands. Well, you look at how beautiful my hands are. Maybe if I did videos like that, like all the bullion guys on here on YouTube, you know, I could do long videos that way. We could do like 3-hour long videos with my hands. That's something I've noticed. Like you're gonna get a very good view of people's hands that are in the bullion industry here on YouTube. Got very pretty hands going on. Wow, look at them. But like literally all of them. But anyway, I won't be invited on their channels anytime soon. Maybe I should go to my local bullion dealer to have him do a video for me. That'll help. Because anyway. But thank you all so much for being part of my videos. I appreciate all the support I've gotten here on YouTube. So if you could like the like button, hit the like button, really does help. If you want to subscribe to the channel, would really appreciate it if you hit the like button and hit the subscribe, and then the bell afterwards would be notified of all future videos. Gary, you should send me a DM of that. I want to see those. Shoot me a DM on Instagram of that. I was just about to end the video, but then I saw your comment, Gary. I like San Francisco assay bars. This is a New York assay bars, but those are worth a lot of money now. So if you got those for spot, did pretty dang well on those, because those could be worth thousands and thousands of dollars. But anyway, thank you so much for everybody for all the support. I will see you at the next live stream. I'm planning to do these at least every Friday, probably more than that, but every Friday night to at least do these live streams for an hour or so when we do these. So if you subscribe to the channel, be prepared for that. Again, on my Instagram, like I just put in the story on the Instagram, I'll show you guys again before I sign out here. Let me show you. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I'll put on the story. I don't know if it's going to focus for me, but you go here, maybe if you see like back here, I don't think it'll focus. But anyway, on Instagram, there's a story mode there. You click it. There you go. You can see that. I put a link to my live stream so you could actually see, like get a link into it and don't have to rely only on the notifications on YouTube. So it really does help if you guys follow me on Instagram. So appreciate it if you do that. And if you do that, you can check my story and you'll see a link there to get into these live streams on YouTube. So that's very helpful to get a notification. It's more than just a notification here on YouTube, although doing both is probably best. See you guys the next live stream. Signing out.